Just doing a quick live, see if we catch up with any of our friends. They could be asleep or not even up yet. Still warm. Next 5 days are over 100. But that's normal. Hello, Carolyn. Bet it's not hot where you are. Just thought we'd pop on, so if anyone was here, say good day. What's the time here now? Oh, it's only 10 o'clock at night. You had a 52-second video that got 609,000 views. That gained 3,000 people as well.
What?
G'day, Roadkill. Carolyn, you had your clothes on, didn't you? That's brilliant. I've got videos which I thought no one would watch. They've got 70,000, 80,000. They just, I think it's the algorithms. I don't know how it works. I don't do any descriptions really in my videos. What do you call them? Links? What do you call I have to do? Keywords or something? I tag. I don't do any of that. I'll have to have a look at that video. $7 a.m. I'm up well before 7 a.m. most days myself. 5:36. Was the fluke? I think began Beagle puppy Lucy number 2. She's a puppy my daughter got. It's funny, puppy dogs. A lot of things like the old saying, Carolyn, sex sells. You'll see some video with a what do you call them? An icon that shows you how to cook rice, and it'll be a woman's boobs just about popping out of the screen. Of course, they get thousands of views, and it's just a bloke cooking rice. It's like sneaky. The puppy dogs. Actually, we watch a lot of that stuff, don't we? Cats, dogs, animals. It's cool. Make you laugh. What's your country's views on marijuana legalization? Well, if it's not a topic of interest, just let me know. Russians won't talk to me about it. Well, I'm not Russian, but I sound Russian sometimes. No, no one gives a damn in Australia. It'll be illegal shortly. I don't smoke it. I don't care if people smoke it. Police officers that I've dealt with in the past, you know, we'd get people come to prison for selling the stuff. But no one goes to jail for possession for themselves. The police just say, oh, you know, just go away. They're not interested. So it's not a big issue in Australia. If you went to a party and 3 or 4 people were smoking marijuana, okay, no big deal. And people used to go down the track saying that, oh yeah, marijuana leads to harder drugs. I used to work in a sex offender unit along with drug and alcohol that I used to present programs for. And I can tell you, people smoke marijuana because people drink alcohol. It's the same theory. Why do you do it? Oh, I like it. The honest answer from anyone that takes drugs says, I like it. Like if you ask someone, do you like a gin and tonic? They go, well, I love a gin and tonic. I love a beer. I like a scotch. They're all drugs. So it's not a big deal here. I think the issue, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's not what drug or alcohol or whatever. It's people's behaviour. You know, I've met women and guys in the past that would smoke marijuana, and they're cool. They're nice people. They're not weird. It's just what they do. It's like, okay, their behaviour is normal. Mind you, a lot of the other drugs like speed and things like that do send people crazy. And crack. But you've got to be honest, it's not so much the drug, it's the behaviour. I don't know how many states in the US have got legalisation, but I think it's a third, maybe 20, 25 states in the US, maybe half. Because people don't see it as a big deal. Anyone knows me, my personal view is legalise every drug. Will some people get killed by them? Yeah, that's their choice. Will some people take drugs and then drive? Yeah, well then we arrest them. So it's all down to behaviour. But if you legalised every drug known to man, and some we don't know, what happens is that you take away the illegal side in regards to dealers, hard men, you know. So there is no criminality, because that's the difference between logic and what we've got now. Logic is if drugs were legal and every one of them was legal, but your behaviour when taking them, you would be convicted of things. That won't change. But if you take away the middlemen or the big bosses, and people go to the shop or the chemist and buy whatever they want, I don't care. Whatever they do in their own home, I don't care. They do it on the road, yeah, I do care. If they come down the street psycho and try to hit me, yeah, I do care. But they're now criminal acts and they'll pay the price for that. But the drug's not the criminality. It's usually all these buggers running international drug lords, etc. They would disappear. That's the point. It's a very simple solution. Legalise everything, but make the criminality of your behaviour still valid. Yeah, you're right. That's what I'm saying, Roadkill. I don't want it so much legalised. I want it decriminalised. So it's nothing. There is no crime in smoking or growing if people want to grow it. But if you've got people and dealers that rule people's lives, they can actually push them towards different drugs. Give you a classic example. One of the programs I run, there was a guy that was on crack after having been basically heroin all his life. Now heroin, believe it or not, is a clean drug. You get a big hit of heroin and then you go silly or have a good time, I wouldn't know. But by morning time, it's out of your system. Marijuana, if you take a blood sample in 72 days, you'll still find it. However, what I'm saying is when someone is a dealer and they say, oh, I've got the heroin all the time, and then they say, oh, I haven't got any heroin, but I've got loads of crack. You want to try that? Heroin dealers push that down the line, and then you've got all these other issues that formulate. If you decriminalise drugs and people can go to a chemist or a pharmacy or drugstore, as you Americans call it, I don't know why, but then there's no crime. See, I've looked into, I had to look into many things in regards to drugs over, this might sound strange, over thousands of years. There's always been some type of resin, drug, leaf, you name it. It's been there all the time. It was never illegal. Look, LSD in the 60s and 70s US was given to people. Um, but it's the behaviour on taking said drugs which you're going to be responsible for. When you've got dealers, they have a position of power, and they can, if they wish to, push other alternative drugs. And the guy that I met in one of the programs said clearly that's what happened. He used to recreationally take heroin on the weekend, never affected anybody. He got whatever he got out of it, and by Monday morning he was back at work. For all week he never took any heroin. On the weekends, so it was a recreational user. Now, there was no heroin around, so he would look for the alternatives that were being offered, and it destroyed his body. But it's not an issue for me. The drug is not the crime. The behaviour on taking said drugs, you'll be accountable for. Just like if you get behind the wheel after taking 10 shots of whiskey, you're responsible for your behaviour. So if we could decriminalise all drugs, what would happen instantly is people would go, and this is a fact, if you make all drugs legal, people tend to not want them. There's the youth invariably around from say 16 to 25. If something's illegal, they'll take it because there's a thrill in doing something against society. If they could just go to the drugstore and say, can I have this and that, they go, yep, $15, $30. They're going, oh, right, I can get it anytime I like, and it's not a crime. You see a lot of people turn away from drugs. Seriously. There are certain countries that do exactly what I'm saying. I'm not sure if Sweden's one of them, but there are Scandinavian countries that don't have a crime for taking the drug. You are accountable for your behaviour though. Oh, look, kids sniff paint, cough, anything, roadkill. It's like the thrill of the chase, if you like. But if you open Slather and said everything's available, you'd find a diminishing use of drugs, because the alternative to taking drugs, roadkill, is life. Maybe people would start to think, oh, I'll take up skiing, I'll go fishing. That's a thrill. Oh, I get a great deal of satisfaction out of going fishing. Play tennis, golf, whatever. So the alternative for youth is either television, gaming, or drugs, or all of them combined. They miss out on the one thing that they were born for, and that's to live their life. So making drugs illegal is stupid. Make them all legal. Don't take away the responsibility of your accountability for using them and doing stupid things. But the drug's not the problem, the behaviour is. And if people were brutally honest, when they go down this brutally honest path, we smoke cigarettes. So, and every label that we get on the box says it will kill you, you will die. Hello, Danny. But children go to McDonald's and Wendy's and eat crap, and then they get obese and they get arterial problems in their heart, and there are no labels on McDonald's burgers that say this might kill you. Whereas there should be. If cigarette packets have this will kill you, so should a McDonald's wrapper. Because the truth is, I'm more likely to survive than somebody who's morbidly obese, because that's the biggest killer. Danny says, good morning, I am at work doing paperwork, listening. I hope all is well. I want to send you some money so you can get me some lollies from Stickies. What's Stickies?
It's a lolly place in Sydney.
You want us to fly to Sydney, get some lollies, fly back to Perth, and then send them to you?
I think they,
What are you thinking, woman?
I think they sell them here too.
Oh, we can get kids over there to get some. So we've got a lot of family over
Is
there.
it strawberry and cream? Or
No, you don't have to send any money. Unless you want 3 ton,
It's a hard lolly.
then we're talking container.
It's a hard lolly, strawberry and cream.
You mean like a humbug? Is that what we're talking about, Danny? Because I'm personally taking up skiing myself, trying to live life after 1 year gaming addiction. I tell you what it is, and there's nothing wrong in gaming, roadkill, but I'm telling you what people do is that they don't become obsessed with gaming. It's their go-to thing. Like they come home from work, have a shower, and game until 2 in the morning. Alarm goes off, they go to work. Because one of the psychologies behind gaming is that you never finish a game. Give you an example. You and I play a game of cards. You start and then there's a finish to it. With gaming, there are levels that never end. The secret to gaming and making money out of it is the companies know that we don't want you to finish. Kat McGlynn says I have a phone addiction. Well, I'm not sure how you eat those, Kat, but I would suggest that you grind them maybe in a coffee grinder. Take away the dial pad because that's impalatable. Then he says they sell online, but it's hard to buy them in the US. Well, if we do send them to you, we'll wait till the end of our summer so they don't sit here and get all gooey. And that'll be like not too hot where you are and not too hot where we are. So I'm not sure what month that would be. Probably April or May, something like that. I was supposed to be asleep. I work nights for years, Kat. I know exactly how you feel. You're drag ass, you're tight, but it's daylight. Unless you go to a darkened room, it's very hard. I could only really sleep, what would I sleep, 4 hours maybe? After a night shift, I could only sleep about 4 hours. I did it for 7 years, Kat. I know what you're like. Game for me was an escape from reality. I lost my wife. But 2,000 years later, see what I want to do something different. Yeah, look, I tell you, one of the things I would suggest to you, roadkill, if you want to do that type of thing, is lease some land or lease an old cabin. Don't buy anything. Lease, say, for an amount of time that you can go stay there, 6 months, 12 months, just lease it. If you find that living off grid and doing all the earthy things, which I think are fantastic by the way, 12 months is going to give you a very good indication because you're going to make a lot of mistakes, you're going to grow things that die, some things work, some don't, but it's a learning process. Ambien and a mask, no, don't take Ambien. I know loads of Americans that take loads of drugs, and I still don't know why. It's like, the pill will fix it. Not having a crack at you, Kat, but do you really need it? Because if you ever go down the path that a pill will fix it, you're missing the point. What's causing the problem for you to take the pill? If it's night shift, I know it's hard to say this, get a day job. So did you make note of the lollies that she wants? Stickies?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll sort it out, Danny. I do, been on it for years too, love my job. Yeah. I know lots of people that have had Ambien and lots of other drugs. There's so many, and it's a go-to. Me and Roadkill have just been talking about go-to things. His was gaming. Go do it. There's no doubt, this is proven beyond a doubt, that the mind is relaxed doing something that you really enjoy. But the thing about gaming, and the truth about it is, there is no ending. They're just levels. And it's like, it's a never-ending cycle. It's like being permanently in the Matrix. But if you're going to do that off-grid thing, I'm more than happy. If you want any info, I've been doing it for years. I can help a little bit. Maybe grow some food, I can help you there. But you've probably got a fair bit of knowledge anyway, but I think it's a great idea. Colorado is very cold. I reckon it's probably full of snow about now. Probably one of the things that we've been restricted in doing. We can do it in our own country. There is no virus in Australia really. We haven't had any since April last year. We can travel all around Australia. We just can't go anywhere else. And we love travelling. But it's just too hard. It can't happen. Won't last forever, but it will last for a while. There's, I'm not sure if you're still there, Roadkill, you're still there? Just want to talk about your adventure upcoming, about going to Colorado and live off the grid. My family has farmed in New Mexico cotton border for years. Sounds good. We have beans, Australasian, Pueblo people with Mesa Verde, called beans. Sounds cool. Think about if you ever do your own garden, like if you're going to do this by yourself, it's actually a great thing to do, to be by yourself, keep occupied, be safe. You don't have to do off-grid hard. Do it quite easy. You will become more minimalistic, you'll eat well, and only grow the foods that you normally eat. So if you say to me, how do you grow artichoke? And I'll say to you, Roadkill, do you eat artichoke? And you go, no. I say, well, don't ask me. You don't need to know. Just grow your carrots, your peas, your beans, your tomatoes, your chilies, whatever. Cauliflower, cabbage, whatever you normally eat. And you'll be amazed. One person with a very small patch of ground, you'll grow a massive food. And then if you can hunt, fish, which I'm pretty sure you can do in Colorado, you might even paint, sketch, create things. But there's so many, oh, for geodes, yeah, that'd be cool. But there's so much, and I've said this over many years, people's creativity has been squashed. Like, no one paints, sculpts, creates, builds. They just work and buy shit. We were never built for that. We were built to do our expression of who we are, and that can be done through art or even living off the grid. A lot of volcanoes in Colorado and Mexico, the best rocks are right in my country. Cool. Maybe you make that part of your season where you go out for 3 months and yeah, there's some good stuff here in Australia too. You like those big purple crystals that open up. What are they called? They're in geode. Big nut of a rock, aren't they? They're cracked open.
Oh, yeah,
all those purple crystals. There's green ones and all sorts of goodies. I'd even suggest, why not do a little bit of gold hunting? It gets you a purpose to get up each morning. Cool, cooking pit work. cooked meat and ash. Oh mate, that'll be magnificent. That will stay hot forever. We've got several areas where we've got there are no active volcanoes as such. We have a lot of mud pits bubbling and gurgling, but we do have a lot of ancient lava rock. It's like, I remember one guy saying to me, oh, he went out for, I think, 10 days, living in the wild, little old cabin. He said he got bored. I said, what did you do? He said, I just sat in the cabin. I said, what else? He said, not much. I said, what's the point of going? I said, why don't you try to grow something and hunt something and be creative, build something? He's like, oh, I just wanted to go in the cabin for 10 days. I'm thinking, no, you didn't. Yeah, there's a lot. Australia is very old as far as a continent, very, very old. That's why there's so much stuff here. We've got gold, nickel, copper, tons of whole islands, basically iron ore, all the minerals you can possibly think of. That's a great idea. Great, cool. Like I say, if you've got land and you don't have to buy it, and you can minimalise. Look, for you, in the cabin, if you want your lighting, I'm sure you're going to use firewood to cook with, or as you just said, the lava pit. But you don't need much. As long as you can store enough energy so you can flick on lights and maybe run a little pump, don't need much else. If you are smart, during Colorado's winter, you won't need a fridge, but you can certainly eat with the seasons. That's a good thing to learn. What is available now is what you should be eating. Like we're coming to the end of my what we call big heavy tomato season, and now I'm growing all as we end summer and go into what you call fall. I still grow tomatoes nearly all year, but they're smaller. They're little cherries and currant type tomatoes and things like that, because they actually will survive through our winter. And then as the spring comes in, I'll be planting the heirloom bigger tomatoes. So yeah, I think they call it a warm tent, don't they? Or a hot tent, off memory. Those Canadian wood stoves are really cool. You know, the long ones? Yeah, hot tents, yeah. But you just got to keep warm. But I imagine if you went out there, you might find a lot of things like nature and rivers, but one of the things you will find, I believe this is true, is yourself. Which is pretty hard to find. But if you look hard enough, you'll find it. I had, this morning about 5:30 when I got up. Each season we have different birds come. And this season right now is the huge red-tailed black cockatoo. Now if it was sitting on the ground with its claws, its head would be 2.5 feet up. They're huge. And what they do is they just rip limbs down from the tree next door. And I'm talking limbs and big branches, because their beaks are like cable tie cutters. Unbelievable. But it happens every year. And man, they make a noise, don't they? And if you go out and do what you're doing, you don't have to video it. You might. You don't have to put it on YouTube. You get the video experience for yourself. Yeah. Yep. Self-documenting. Even I would suggest this to you, roadkill. You don't have to do it, but I think it's a great idea. If you do this for a period of time, write a diary. There'll be good bits, there'll be shitty bits, there'll be bits when things break. And then that magnificent morning when you wake up and there are 2 deer looking at you just outside your tent. And you wonder, wow, that's pretty good. But if you can write a diary, it doesn't have to be every day, but that's something you can hand on to your kids. And when you're out in the bush, roadkill, out in the middle of nowhere, doing what you're doing, every day, if you get a chance, find a nice little spot that you find is really good and you like being there. Every time you go there, take a stone with you. Just as you walk along, find stone and pile them up. Because when you're gone and history doesn't know you, that little pile of stones will be there. And has that been done before? Yes, for tens of thousands of years. People have left their mark. We found them. Anthropologists say, wow, that's what these people used to do. They used to come to this spot, overlooking a lake. It was beautiful. And so a lot of cultures do it. It's not unique to any culture. But they would build little stone piers, and some have been found thinking there was burials in it, but it wasn't. It was just always what people do. All right, Danny, have a good day. Stay safe. You're at work. You shouldn't be online. My goodness, what if the boss finds out? Actually, we're probably going to shoot off to bed. We just wanted to see if we catch up with a few folk. We haven't been on for so long, but we might even turn into bed ourselves. So keep that dream going, roadkill. Let me know how you go. Look forward to your adventure. And to everyone else, if you're there, Danny, good night to you. And we shall hear or see from you in the future. From us, good night. Yep, I just read that, roadkill. Yep, I think we've all done this a few times. With the rocks, I've done it a few times. But till next time, good night.